Hail them.
Hailing frequencies open, sir.
Hailing frequencies open.
I don't know why I keep giving alien street food a chance. It's always such a gamble.
Captain, we're being hailed.
On screen.
Hello and welcome to another Hailing Frequencies Open podcast where we continue to trek through the past and future of Star Trek. As always, I'm your host, Mike Jones, and joining me this week, we have two of our co-hosts, Damian. Say hi, Damian.
Hi, Mike. Happy to be here.
Glad you're here. And joining us all the way from the beautiful Rocky Mountains, Ben Hollywood Whitmore.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be back on board.
Your video froze and you looked like really drunk there. You're like, hello.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we got
you sounded fine.
Face.
A little demonic face. A little palsy.
The internet. I got a bit of the touch of the palsy. And well, I'm glad to be back. It's not every day that I get to do this with y'all. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad it worked out. In today's episode, we are going to talk about the more secretive parts of Starfleet and talk about Section 31. Mainly, I think, inspired because there was the recent announcement that there's the Michelle Yeoh Section 31 film. I think it is now. It's no longer a series. Is that what we've heard?
It's a 2-hour event, or it's a TV movie.
Oh, it's a streaming TV movie.
Yes. Yes.
Made for
excited about it.
direct-to-video release.
I wonder if they just couldn't get her to commit to a whole season now that she's all fancy and Academy Award winning.
I mean, that's likely.
Well, and it seems like they're they're dialing back their offerings. Like it seemed like it was just like an extravaganza of Star Trek that is now like kind of maybe a little slowing down on us, unfortunately.
Well, if fortunately or unfortunately, I like quality over quantity. That's for sure.
There is certainly something to be said for too much of a good thing.
Yeah. If they'd taken it and stretched it, if they had a good concept for a 2-hour movie and they stretched that out into a season, I would be disappointed. And they're not above doing that.
Like, this doesn't got legs. We can't get a whole season.
When we start getting the Yeoman Rand Chronicles, they've dipped too deep.
The Captain's Yeoman.
Yeah.
All right, Damian, do you have some Section 31 history to give us?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can tell you the history of as our audience, we first encountered Section 31 on Deep Space Nine late in the 6th season, an episode called Inquisition.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave us almost like they gave us a little Section 31 trilogy that focused heavily on Dr. Bashir.
Mm-hmm. The Sloan trilogy, right?
The Sloan trilogy, yes. And it starts when he shows up under the guise of being from internal affairs, and he's there to essentially create an air of suspicion around Bashir and interrogate him and sort of accuse him of collaborating with Dominion. And there's this whole sort of intrigue around him, and the crew seems to be turning on Bashir, like thinking that maybe he might be guilty. He starts to wonder if maybe he like collaborated without knowing. Sure. And then come to find out, like maybe we've seen a few times before in Star Trek, nothing is as it seems.
Right.
And come to find out he's in a simulation. And they're just testing him, and they're trying to recruit him into Section 31. And Sloan has this way of sort of like appearing in his quarters, like in the middle of the night while he's sleeping. And
that's not creepy at all.
No, not creepy at all. And so finally, in the second episode, we get him. He's been sort of lured into participating unwittingly in this plot to bring down a Romulan senator because she would be opposed to the interests of Section 31. So he's kind of a pawn. And then in the third episode, which Extreme Measures, he finally turns the tables. He outsmarts, he lures Sloan, traps him, and they find out that Sloan and Section 31 have been poisoning the changelings, or have created the virus that is going to poison the changelings, right? And
they should have known better. I mean, don't they know that our man Bashir is a international spy, man of mystery?
Well, it's like they recruit him because they think that he's sort of like has that he is so interested in the spy world that he'll sort of like the intrigue will suck him in, and he can be manipulated that way.
And he's genetically enhanced too. I mean, they've
written
that into the character at this point.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And so ultimately they, he outsmarts Sloan, and there's this whole episode where he and O'Brien go into his brain to get the cure for the disease, and it ends up being integral to the Dominion War. But basically what we learned through this trilogy is that it is this secret organization that no one really is even certain that it actually exists. Like maybe it's a rumor, maybe it's not, that goes all the way back to the Federation's charter. That is their essentially the dark ops wing of Starfleet intelligence that does all these kind of shady operations, like the ends justify the means kind of things, which is
it's very Illuminati.
Yes, the secret society, etc., etc. So yeah, like we're never, they sort of work on behalf of the good guys, but they're not good guys. And Sloan, over the course of Deep Space Nine, is definitely a villain.
Yeah.
He's definitely a villain. And
well, you could tell by the way the guy they cast, and has these like chiseled cheekbones, and the way they light him, like he never looks like a nice guy.
And the like pockmarked skin on him.
Yes.
Yeah, like his villains have, acne scars, I guess.
Right. That's why they become villains.
Yeah. So it's a fascinating like couple episodes though, because it really create, it creates these sort of classic Star Trek moral quandaries as to, if you're saving all of these lives, is it okay to do terrible things?
Right. If Earth is a paradise, what has to happen to keep it that way?
Yes.
William Sadler. That's that guy's name.
The actor?
Oh, is that Sloan?
The actor's, who plays Sloan is William Sadler, and he's in like a whole bunch of stuff. I'm trying to remember like where. So he was, oddly enough, he was the Grim Reaper in the Bill and Ted.
Yes,
like,
of course he was.
Yeah, you can see like
of course he was. He has that like he could be Red Skull.
There's something else that I'm thinking of him in.
I don't know. Is he like an X-Files or something? He's one of those faces that pops up a lot.
Yeah.
I think in like 90s pop culture.
Oh, for sure.
The little bit of research that I did going into this was because I wasn't sure where Section 31 started in our chronology. And as you said, it's Deep Space Nine. And it was really a creation of Ira Stephen Bear, right?
Right.
He really wanted to introduce darker elements and to challenge, I think, the Roddenberry utopia, no conflict. We've evolved beyond that philosophy.
And it really, go ahead, sir. It really does sort of definitely go against what the all of the Roddenberry rules.
Yeah,
and that there's a lot of people who feel like it, in no way would Starfleet ever have a dirty little secret like that, because it's supposed to be this idealistic thing,
Right. I mean, the optimist in me wants to side with Roddenberry on it, but the realist, I think, you're dealing with other cultures that are not as ideal. the Klingons, the Romulans, even the Ferengi, the Borg, for God's sake, the Dominion. And there's a reason I think that all starships are armed to the teeth. I mean, they're exploratory vessels, but they have, weapons. That I don't know. I think that there is a need, and it's smart that Ira Stephen Bear saw that need for, a SEAL Team 6. I can't even say it right. I'm not bitch enough to say that.
Yeah, it's Black Ops, right? Like, I mean, that's what it's
absolutely
like CIA beyond classified.
Right. MI6.
If you know about them, you're in trouble, or you're part of them.
Right. Tal Shiar, or as we learned in Picard, there's an even more secret Tal Shiar, right?
The Zhat Vash.
Zhat Vash, right.
Why do I
or whatever.
Zhat Vash. Yeah. The double secret triple probation.
The subset of the subset. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting though, in that third Section 31 episode that I actually just watched on the train home. It's fresh. The implication is they go into Sloane's head, and they, and sort of like steal files, but they're not really files. So it's like the idea is that there's no actual documentation of any of this stuff. It's all in people's heads. So that's like the only way that you can know anything about Section 31. It's like take people's actual memories.
Wow. I had not rewatched that episode. But the way you described it sounds very Harry Potter to me, that they're just like sucking these little wispy memories out and storing them in glass vials.
Is stored on the deck 9, I think.
Right, exactly.
Well, and it's in a long history of Star Trek episodes where they sort of lay on a medical bed and go into someone's brain, and their brain is represented by the ship that they happen to actually be on.
Right, of course, right, yeah.
What do we have sets for? That's their brain.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's either going to be a clip episode or some either a white background with nothing, or the sets that we all have. So that's not the last time we see Section 31. They continue to pop up, right? I mean, they appear in Enterprise, the next series, with Malcolm Reed being. You find out that he was previously a member, right, of Section 31, I think, and then they tried to recruit him back in. It even pops up in the JJ verse in the Kelvin timeline.
Oh, it does?
With the Dreadnought. Yeah, the second one. No, the second one. Yeah. The Badmiral in that has the big Dreadnought ship, and he's like, they drop the line like Section 31 that's what he
sanctioned
represents
for construction under Section 30. Like they commissioned that ship with
that
technology, with the cloaking technology. I think they had.
Oh no,
it's always cloaking technology.
We're supposed to be. It's always cloaking technology.
This one was the Dreadnought was like a war crime with a warp drive. It was,
and it could fire on the other ship while at warp. I think that was the like shocking thing, because they thought once they were at warp they were safe. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I think that it's become this go-to for the writers to be like, we want some mysterious drama. We want a little Jason Bourne or a little, James Bond. Let's introduce a Badmiral. They go back to that over and over. And Section 31. It's a great combo.
Well, and we got that on the last season of Picard, where they're going through the Daystrom station, and they're finding all of the like weird secret shit that they've been keeping. And
right. Like Captain Kirk's body.
Who wouldn't want to keep that?
Surely it's useful to someone.
Right. Well, we're going to clone him. I don't know. My favorite Section 30. I have to confess, I'm not a huge fan of this of those episodes. I mean, like I said, I logically understand why it exists, but the kind of exploratory escapism that I'm looking for in Star Trek rarely has this kind of spy drama in it,
Mhm.
But in Lower Decks, there are
Yes.
two great references to Section 31. One is the throwaway line, where they think that Mariner is, is like a double agent or something, and she suddenly like has this like Jason Bourne kind of moment where she's like really good at something, and he says, Section 31, like that's just like this like default reaction, and then the transporter copy of Boimler dies, and there's a whole episode about him being dead and Boimler reacting to his like clone or whatever's death. And at the end of the episode, spoilers, he wakes up, he wasn't dead, and he's a member of Section 31. And there's this great thing where they give him the black badge, which they establish in Discovery, that for some reason Section 31 has a black badge. And he says, he was like, if no one's supposed to know we exist, why would we have our own badge? And they're like, you could go back to being dead. And he was like, never mind.
Yeah, we don't question the black badges. They just sort of show up.
It's awfully cool, the black badge.
It's super cool.
Yes.
But it's for it's for the audience, so we know, but
it is
that they can operate.
Well, there's that cool moment where Philippa Giorgio gets her black badge, like, like join the club. Here's your badge. That and
it just ends up being just like a piece of physical evidence. Like even if you like keep it secretly,
it doesn't make it. Maybe it cloaks. Maybe it comes back to the cloaking technology.
Well, come on. That's that's the one thing, because the Starfleet doesn't cloak, right? Because they agreed, because they promised the Romulans they wouldn't.
Right. It's a treaty violation.
So naturally, you assume that Section 31 has cloak ships.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Treaties don't matter to them. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Turns out they just paint all their ships black, and that's like cloaking technology.
You're like, because it's space.
It's in space.
Well, if you're looking out the window,
where are you going to see? You can't see it.
Yeah.
Put a couple little white dots on it, make it look like stars. Perfect cloaking technology. This is the technology we need to be working on.
The little stars, like little whiteout dots all over the ship. I have to say, when I heard they were making a Section 31 series that is now turned into a movie of the week, I was worried that it would be like those CBS procedurals, those cop dramas, that it would be like every week, they're solving some murder. There's,
gun.
Dun, dun, yeah, exactly. Like Law and Order or something.
Law and Order
like
in
Jag.
space.
Right. But it seems like that's not the idea, especially if it's just a movie. I hope that it really delves into something a lot more interesting than that, especially now that Giorgio, if the Section 31 movie is, we know that she's starring in it, and she's like, hooked up with the Guardian now, right? The Guardian of Forever.
Do we think that? Do we think that they have maintained some sort of like connection after that? All we know is she walked through the portal, and theoretically could emerge anywhere, anytime.
Sure.
And assuming that since the movie is Section 31, she goes back to the original Discovery time that she joined Section 31 in, right?
Sure.
I guess. Could be anything else. They could literally do anything they want.
They could. Well, do you think we're going to see some Discovery actors then? If she goes back to that time, are we going to see some like blue uniformed,
My guess is it'll be Discovery verse, but it won't
but not literally those people.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe Ash Tyler.
Part of me, yeah.
He would make the most sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do we feel about just by way of transition, about how they use Section 31 in Discovery?
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
No, you go ahead, please.
They well, there's this whole control thing, right? Which is this AI that is the big bad, but then is also Section 31 is thinks they're in control of control, but they don't. You can't control.
Control controls you.
Control controls you. Exactly.
They're being controlled by control, and they don't even know.
And then it's out of control.
It's out of control, which is counterintuitive, and as an AI should have caused, a war games error and just shut it down. But
Would you like to play chess? No. Yeah, I have to admit, I really didn't like that season of Discovery. So it's hard for me to set aside my dislike of the season to look at just how they used Section 31. What do you think?
So I kind of agree with you, Mike. I think that Section 31 was sort of used as in Discovery, at least, it was sort of used as like a explain it away, a Deus Ex Machina organization that's just sort of like, oh, it was Section 31. They were behind this whole thing. And like, we get to see glimpses of it, which I think, again, kind of a Black Ops Federation organization is really cool.
No.
But
and they have their own ships and everything in that timeline.
And seemingly unlimited resources. And
yes,
all the best stuff that nobody else has. The black badges for one. I mean, collector's item right there.
But doesn't it seem from that season that it's almost like a parallel Starfleet? Like there's Starfleet and there's Section 31, like they're like a sort of on par somehow.
It does. Yeah. They have like the same rank structure and every, the bridge, the bridge of their ship is literally the Shinju. No, what was the name of the first ship on Discovery?
Shinju. Yeah.
Shinju. I'm like Shinju, whatever. Shinju.
Szechuan. The Szechuan.
Szechuan sauce. It's that. Anyway, they reused that set because they love to reuse sets, which makes sense. But that made it feel very much like, oh, this is just a its own little Starfleet.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me think, how are they? I mean, I know that it's a post-scarcity society and the economics of the future are very different, but who's funding these people? You know what I mean? The Illuminati.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the whole parallel Starfleet vibe of Discovery does not jive with what we learned about them.
No.
On Deep Space Nine. And of course, it's all, I think, explained away because the Discovery cast goes into the future and nobody knows about this whole story, et cetera, et cetera. But like,
right. Yeah, it doesn't, because they seem to be like a ragtag, not ragtag, but an elite group of people who have infiltrated and are placed in Starfleet throughout, but that they don't have their own organizational structure beyond that. They don't have like, there's not like a headquarters like MI6 in London,
Yeah, well, they're operating out of that a prison facility for a while. That's sort of like their base of operations on that planet.
True. Right.
And that's on Discovery?
Yeah, I think so. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, I haven't refreshed.
Oh, yeah, no, they have. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of the planet, but it's during it's one of the first ones. It's not the I don't know. I've already forgotten it. This is my brain.
This is your brain on drugs.
This is your brain on Section 31.
See, they've gone into your mind and taken the memories.
They've removed them. They're gone.
I can't even speak right now. They're blocking. But I'm excited about the Philippa Georgiou Section 31 show, mainly because Michelle Yeoh is amazing and she's going to be fantastic. Do we know who the writers are?
It's out there somewhere. I don't know who it was because it's not the original, because they had like a whole writer's room set up for the Section 31 show. Like there were showrunners in place, and they have moved on to other things because it got held. Mostly I think it got held up because of COVID at first. But yeah, so it's not the same people who originally developed the idea. So it could be totally different from what they had been intending to do. Who knows?
Yeah, I bet it will be. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be a fun diversion from, our regular scheduled Trek.
Yeah. And that it's not like a mini series, that it's just going to be one like 2-hour shot. I feel like that's a good format for some
Mhm.
really good Star Trek content.
Mhm.
And I think that could prove to be, again, like if they have 2 hours of really good story, I'd rather see those 2 hours together in one cohesive thing than dragged out
Yeah.
over a season.
Well,
Right?
Picard season 3, as much as I loved it, I felt like they sometimes got bent out of shape to get to a cliffhanger at the end of every episode. And sometimes it was the same cliffhanger that we saw in the last episode, like what's behind the red door. Like we saw that cliffhanger like 3 times. Like
Yeah, no,
come on.
absolutely.
So yeah, doing it as a movie rather than a miniseries, I think will be more compact.
Well, and yeah, and they can and part of it is that a lot there's so many of these seasons of Star Trek that we're getting have kind of an agenda in that they have all of these characters to service, especially Picard season 3, right? Because they're trying to launch new characters.
Yes, right.
They have characters who have like held over from the first 2 seasons. They have all the TNG characters, so they have like, and then even like Discovery has like a pretty broad array of characters, and so they have things that they kind of like need to accomplish to move all of these stories along.
Everybody needs a moment. Everybody needs a little plot line.
Whereas this is bound by nothing. It can literally be whatever it wants to be. And guess what? If it sucks, it's only 2 hours, so we can't really complain that much about
There
it.
you go. There you go.
I'm sorry, it was an abandoned penal colony. And that's where the housed control. That's in Project Daedalus. That was the episode of Discovery.
That's where I see.
But again, I fell asleep halfway through it because it was very late. And I was like, no, there was like a jail or something. It was like an old like colony that they had like taken over.
I have never fallen asleep watching Star Trek.
Oh my God.
Never.
Who would?
Never.
Oh, please. Lies.
It's all just been beamed into here in my sleep.
Right. I actually do have trouble falling to sleep to Star Trek. You would think that TNG would be so like comforting that I would be able to drift off to it, but I don't. I want to watch it. Now, animated series is another matter.
Totally. The original animated series is
animated series is easy to sleep to.
I'm out. I can get like 10 minutes, even like in like wait, if I put it on like in my like waking life to try and actually watch it. I'm out.
It's got to be some kind of like beta missions. I don't know. There's something that just puts you right.
Some kind of like magic mushroom vibe, like coming through some of the animation.
Mm-hmm. Those Hanna-Barbera guys, they were on something.
Right. Amazing.
So I gotta say, I actually have really enjoyed, especially the Deep Space Nine ones. I do enjoy the Section 31 episodes. I like the spy stuff. I like the sort of like moral quandaries that it creates, where it puts our characters in these situations where they're like, especially, I mean, and we see this all the time in Deep Space Nine, where they make all the maybe less correct choices for a larger reason. And I like to see our characters get put in these like uncomfortable positions. And for as much as there were some problems with some of the Discovery things that didn't really sort of like check out with like what we learned Section 31 to be in previous treks. I was such a Giorgio fan, and I think that is like the right fit for a character that is like a darker hero or an anti-hero.
An anti-hero,
yeah. I'm into the spy stuff. I like it.
Good.
I like it, and this goes to a greater thematic Trek universe for me. I like it in a world that is supposedly like beyond moral reproach, like it is a utopia, right? That I like it when they put characters in a morally ambiguous space, and Section 31 serves that world very well. Like it is. Are they the good guys? Are they the bad guys? Who knows? Are they making the right decision? Are they making the good decision? Or are they making, a decision that is good according to a different perspective that we're not seeing or we don't know yet.
Mhm, mhm.
So I like the moral ambiguity of it.
It makes you think.
Gray space to play in.
I have to admit, I prefer black and white.
Well, I get it. It's you got to be in the right mood for it.
You have
but,
to be in the
like,
right
you
mood.
know,
But yeah, that like
sometimes-
reinforcement of like, it's very clear who's in the right and who's in the wrong. And then the person who's in the wrong gets it in the end. Like there's something that appeals to the brain seeing that, and that's why those like cop shows are so successful.
done.
Oh, totally.
Right.
I think I think that these stories are interesting because they throw the utopia into question sometimes too.
Mhm.
The like the Dominion War stuff where they have developed the disease, the genocidal disease, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Which we dealt with in TNG with the Borg. There's the episode where they find Hugh and they develop that sort of potentially like genocidal thing, and you're like, is genocide okay to like save ourselves?
Right.
And
that all
there's
comes back
times you're
into
watching
play.
and you're like, you people are crazy. Like the Borg are out to kill us all or to assimilate the galaxy. Like if you can destroy the Borg, you should.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's my like. Yet you see like someone like Picard who's like who rises above and makes this sort of utopian choice almost all the time, and you're like, is that really right? Like, is that the correct choice?
It makes me think of In the Pale Moonlight, where Cisco makes a much darker choice than Picard probably would have in that situation. And maybe because of that, they won the war. I mean, they got the Romulans.
The Romulans.
I'm like, I was going through all alien species in my head. I was like, no, wait, that's not it.
You had to get to R in the
Right.
Romulan.
Remans, no.
The Remans.
The Binars? No, that's not it.
The Binars.
Deep cut. Yeah, where were the Binars during the war? There's a novel about that, I'm sure.
Which, by the way, okay, just like not on topic. Why did the Binars never come back? They were like an awesome alien race, and that was like the only good episode of the first season.
Right?
That's a good question. Maybe they had trouble casting, petite twins or whatever.
Run out of weird twins to cast. Yeah,
right. You would have said no. You might have.
It was a deep cut, but they just popped right up to the front. I guess.
Sure did.
They did.
Andorians,
As they often do.
Binars. I don't know.
Cardassians. Let's keep
no!
that.
That'd be a fun game. We could.
Yeah, that
win
would be a
Oh,
fun
Jesus.
game.
And you can't
Like
think of one. You have to drink.
I love it.
I think I'm curious again. Like I'm excited to see what comes of this Section 31 project, and it doesn't have a title yet, right? Have I missed that?
I think it's Star Trek
Is it just
Section 31.
Star Trek Section 31.
I think that's what.
Who knows? It could always change.
I'm not thrilled at the title. Well, it's fine. It'll be fine. Let's workshop it. Put a pin in that. I'm excited to see what happens because I guess my question is we have a little inkling, but what would you like to see as the future of Section 31? What do we want to know? What do we want to find out? We'll edit this pause out too.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the thing about it is that it is like it doesn't necessarily. I mean, from what we've seen so far, it doesn't necessarily sort of make sense on its own outside of the context of some other story, right?
Yeah.
So that it's we know it in the context of the Dominion War. We know it in the context of the rogue changelings and Picard and
the Klingon Federation War in Discovery.
Oh yeah.
They serve a nice contrast to our regular heroes and but to be the main protagonists, I think will be challenging because what are they where's the contrast? What are you holding them up against? I mean, and the thing is, it might be that they are really, the protagonist. It could be like a James Bond movie or whatever, where, he's a spy and he has a license to kill and he has a license to have sex with whoever he wants. But but he's a hero and we love him for it.
Mike.
Well, and they described this movie, or when they actually described the series pitch, and I think it has stuck with the movie, is that it's Guardians of the Galaxy meets Mission Impossible, which, by the way, does not include Star Trek at all.
Right.
I like both of those things. So put them together in the Star Trek universe.
You got your peanut butter in my chocolate. You got your chocolate in my peanut butter.
Well, and actually the exciting thing is that it could literally be anything, right? Because they set up this thing where she walks through this portal.
Right.
And they're literally bound by nothing. She could emerge anywhere. And because we've already seen her character essentially make a life for herself in all of these different universes and timelines. And
right.
So
it shows up in the early 2000s in LA to accept an Academy Award after starring in Everything Everywhere all the ways at once, whatever everything,
all the things,
what is the name of the movie?
It's everything everywhere all at once.
Yes.
Everything Everywhere all at once.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
I definitely saw it in the movie theater and forgot that people can hear me talk.
Were you like?
And of course, Colby just arrived in the other room, so he's sick of this story. But there's definitely a scene where Stephanie Shu comes out of an elevator with a pig on a leash. Yeah, and it was sort of a little bit of a turning point because it had become more. It had ventured into a new level of surreal at that moment. I felt like, and all of a sudden, someone in the theater was like, "Is that a pig?" And I kind of look around and everybody's looking at me and I'm like, oh shit, I said that in the theater out loud. So invested in the moment. So good movie.
Amazing. I've heard great things about it. I have not seen it because I have a 2-year-old in my house. So
you're living Everything Everywhere all at once.
I'm living Everything is always everywhere all at once.
Everything is always a pig on a leash.
Yeah. Is that a pig? I say that.
I love the voice.
It didn't sound like my own voice. It was like an out-of-body experience. And also, the missing information is that we had just come out of COVID isolation from having.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we were not really acclimated to the world,
to being with people.
Exactly.
I'm not used to being around humans. Vile, filthy things they are.
All right. Well, so let's I think we can end it there and we'll go watch Everything Everywhere All at Once in preparation for the Section 31 movie.
I certainly bring a chaotic energy to the podcast, don't I?
I love it.
Yes.
It's kind of all over the place.
I love it.
And we can also watch the prequel season of The Witcher, which features her.
Oh, yes. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Colby watched it without me. He says,
so
don't bother.
Don't worry about it.
Well, I didn't watch The Witcher, so even though it had Henry Cavill in it, right?
Henry Cavill shirtless a lot. So
in a bathtub.
That's all you have to say. Why have I not watched this?
I'm in. He just grunts. He grunts for 90%.
Yeah, he does.
He's like a deep, I can't even do the voice, but it's like a deep monotone the entire show. Yeah.
There's a super cut of the grunts. It's pretty funny.
Okay, I've got to look.
Just see how far off the rails we can take this before Mike.
Yes.
We keep it loose here grunts. On Hailing Frequencies Open.
All right. Well, if you're still listening, if you're still with us, I thank you. If you have enjoyed our ramblings, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Hailing Freak Open, or on our webpage at hailingfrequenciesopen.com. But you probably know all that because you're listening to us. If you have any thoughts on Section 31, send them anonymously to us because otherwise they'll track you. I'm just kidding. Don't trust them.
Beep us with your black communicator badge.
Exactly. Right. All right. Say goodbye, fellas.
Bye.
fellas.
Thanks, Mike.
Hailing frequencies closed.